We're often sold this idea that the economy is some kind of perfect, logical machine. Predictable, stable, clean. But what if that's just a story? What if the blueprint we've all been using is for a world that doesn't even exist? Well, today, we're going to tear down 6 of those old pillars of traditional economics and build something new in their place. A framework that's based not on perfect theory, but on messy, chaotic, human reality. And that right there, that's our mission. We are tossing out the old, idealized fiction. We're rolling out a brand new rule book, one that's actually grounded in the way the world works, in the messy, fascinating, and, often totally irrational world of actual human behavior. Okay, first things first. Every economic story needs 2 things, right? A setting and a cast of characters. So the first 2 assumptions of this new framework completely redefine the starting line for the economy and the nature of the people playing the game. So, the old myth says the economy just kind of starts from a state of perfect balance, right? This new reality says, nope, it's the exact opposite. The economic cycle really begins in the ashes of a recession, a time when everyone is pessimistic and scared. But here's the key. Underneath all that gloom, real stuff is happening. Real innovation, real productivity is building. The cycle doesn't start from perfection. It starts from this undervalued, unseen potential. Now let's talk about the actors. Traditional economics gave us this character, Homo Economicus, basically a perfectly rational robot who always makes the most logical choice. But this new model says, come on, let's be real. People are fundamentally irrational. We're driven by fear, by greed, by that herd mentality. And this is so important because it finally explains booms and busts. They aren't just numbers on a chart, they're tidal waves of human emotion. All right, so we've got a messy starting point and a cast of irrational players. So what actually fuels all the action? Well, these next 2 assumptions are going to show us the true engine of the economy, debt. And they're going to split our players into 2 very distinct competing teams. You see, traditional models treat debt like it's just a tool, like a wrench that policymakers pull out of a toolbox to make a quick fix. This framework sees it completely differently. Debt is the economy's lifeblood. It's not some external force. It's the current that's always pulsing through every single stage of the cycle, fueling both the dizzying highs and, the painful lows. It's not a tool, it is the system. So who are these irrational, debt-fueled players really? The old model just lumps everyone together and calls them consumers. But to really get what's going on, this framework splits them into 2 opposing groups. You've got your business owners and your wage earners. And why is this so important? Because their incentives are completely different. One group wins when their assets, their equity, goes up. The other group wins when their wages go up. This simple split suddenly reveals the core conflicts that are driving the flow of all the money. So if we have new players and new rules, we're going to need a new scoreboard. The final 2 assumptions are all about how we measure the game, creating a system that can actually separate the market hype from what's really happening in the economy. And at the very heart of this new scoreboard is a really cool concept called the 2 proxies. It's a beautifully simple idea. Forget about looking at old, lagging data like GDP. Instead, we can create a real-time snapshot by just comparing what the market hopes will happen with what's actually happening on the ground. Okay, let's really break this down, because this is the secret sauce. As you can see, we use 2 proxies. First up, stock indexes. These represent anticipated consumption. It's what investors hope and speculate people will buy tomorrow. It's pure expectation. Then we have the commodity index. We're talking oil, copper, wheat. This represents real consumption, the raw materials that companies are actually buying and using right now to make stuff. And when you compare those 2, you get this incredibly clear signal. Is the economy running on real demand, or is it just running on speculative fumes? And finally, our 6th assumption gives us a new definition of growth. This model just strips away all the moral judgments. It doesn't ask if growth is good or bad. Organic growth is simply any innovation, any activity that genuinely increases the gross domestic product. If new tech or higher productivity measurably expands the whole economic pie, it counts. The focus is just on real objective impact. Simple as that. So, we've torn down the old myths. What have we built in their place? Let's put all 6 of these pieces together and take a look at this new rulebook, a framework that is designed for reality. And here it is, the new blueprint. You see how it all connects? It starts from pessimism because it accepts that people are irrational. It sees debt not as some side tool, but as the system's lifeblood, fueling that fundamental conflict between the 2 key groups, owners and earners. And it measures all of this by tracking the gap between market hype and real consumption.
defining growth as any measurable increase in output. Every single piece builds on the next, creating this cohesive, powerful view of the real economy.
So what's the ultimate payoff? Why does this all matter? Well, by abandoning that clean, perfect fiction of the old models, this framework gives us something way more valuable: a realistic lens. It accepts the economy for what it actually is: a messy, emotional, human-driven system. And because it's grounded in reality, it gives us a much, much better chance of seeing the true turning points in the cycle before everybody else does. So I guess that leaves us with one final big question. For generations, we've been trying to navigate the economy with a map that might just be, well, fundamentally flawed. Now that we have a new one that actually reflects the terrain, where does it lead? What new opportunities, what hidden risks, and what unseen destinations can we finally discover?